A truly impactful artist must find harmony between content, yung nilalaman ng inyong art, yung aesthetics, yung design, style, and yung process, no? Yung paano nabuo yung output ng inyong art. To create art that is both meaningful and inspiring. When these three elements are in balance, art becomes a holistic force for positivity, capable of both personal expression and societal transformation. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce a remarkable organization whose work sits at the intersection of creativity and sustainability, especially for children and young people. I'd like to introduce you the organization Djapo, a Belgian educational organization dedicated to empowering children and young people to make conscious choices for a sustainable society. Ladies and gentlemen, the Networking Research and Innovation Specialist of Djapo, Ms. Sofie Tirez.
Hi, magandang umaga. I really hope that meant good morning. Yeah? Alright, thank you. I'd like to start with a question. If that works. When was the last time a piece of art changed the way you saw the world? Maybe it was a song that stayed with you, or a play that made you a little bit uncomfortable, or a painting that made you stop and reflect. Because that's the power of art or theater. Or as Bell Hooks once said, the function of art is to do more than tell it like it is. It's to imagine what is possible. Each day, we are confronted with numerous societal issues. Challenges such as climate change, social inequity, and cultural erosion, they are no longer distant threats. They are realities that shape our everyday lives. But the good news, art moves people. And when people are moved, they act. My name is Sofie, and I work at Djapo, a Belgian organization that specializes in education for sustainable development. That means that we want to give youth and young children the tools, mindset, and creativity to shape a more just and sustainable world. Djapo is a name derived from Wolof. It's a West African language, and it means hand in hand working together. And I think we should take that by heart, because I firmly believe that each one of us, student, teacher, artist, or global citizen, has a role to play. And what better way to do that than through art and theater, right? So let me ask you, what do you think of when you hear sustainable development? What's the first thing you think of? Raise your hand if you think of environmental issues. So if you think of environment, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you think of social issues. If you think of economic issues, or if you don't think of any issues. You don't think of any issues? No? All right, no problem. I'm going to explain, all right? Sustainable development is about three things: environmental issues, social issues, and economic issues. And internationally, we refer to the 5P model. So it's about the planet, it's about people, and it's about prosperity. And peace and partnership are two necessary conditions to make sure there is a balanced model, all right? The UN also defines sustainable development, and they defined it like this. It's a very long sentence. Development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. More easy, it is how we must live today if we want a better tomorrow, all right? And to change those difficult words into action, they created 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Those are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And they are like a very urgent call for action by all countries on the globe, okay? On your seat, you will also find one Sustainable Development Goal in the back. You can take a look and you can take it out, all right? It's one SDG. On the back, you find a short explanation. So please take a look. All right. I am going to present you a few statements. And when the statement applies to you or your SDG, then you're going to raise the card. All right? Are you ready? Yes? The first one. This goal has an influence on people's health. And it's your opinion. It doesn't matter if you think it's correct or it isn't. Just raise your card if you think it has an influence. All right, few cards. The next one. Raise your hand, the card if this goal makes you anxious, a little bit anxious. Right, a few. Raise your card if this goal has an influence on reducing inequalities. All right, more cards. Nice. This goal has not yet been completed in the Philippines. If you think you still see the... Okay, we have some work to do, but that's great. That's why we're here. Thank you. And the last one, this goal makes me hopeful. Okay, I'm very glad to see that. A lot of hopeful people here. Thank you for participating. The SDGs are interconnected. That means that working on one goal means addressing others too. But often, short-term gains are overshadowed by longer-term costs when people pursue immediate rewards without thinking about other people or the planet. But for Djapo, sustainable development is about making right and conscious choices, each day, over and over. And learning to make those choices, that is education for sustainable development. And that's the core of Djapo, okay? But there are many choices we make each day, big and small. Today, I had to choose what I was going to have for breakfast. Rice or rice. So I had to choose. It was a little bit different, but I know. I also had to choose my clothes. A few weeks ago, I had to choose what I was going to tell here. After high school, I had to choose what I was going to do or study. Very difficult choice. But in making choices, we consider all aspects of the issue, the pros and cons. We proceed to take up positions, we make choices, and we take action. And often we don't really think much about the choices. We do them out of habit, familiarity, or on the basis of routine. And that's good to avoid dwelling on each individual choice. But sometimes it is good to reflect on one. Because if we reflect on our choices, we become aware of what drives them. Aspects as our identity, values, emotions, interests, and belief, they all play a role in the choices we make each day. Okay? So, for Djapo, we want to support children and youth in developing the ability to make conscious choices in a world that is very complex and ever-changing. And therefore, we want to make societal issues relevant and interesting learning contexts. And we see the school as a safe place for practice, in which students can deal with societal issues such as gender inequality, climate change, water pollution, without having to meet any societal agenda, without suffering the direct consequences of their choices in their own lives, with space to reflect on the choices, the processes leading up to them and their consequences, and most important, to learn from this experience. So to support this, we'd like to see the school as an ESD experimental environment. Education for sustainable development, it asks us to go beyond teaching about the world's challenges. It asks us to make spaces, to create spaces for students to experience what it means to think critically, to take responsibility, to act with resilience, to create something, to solve problems. So we don't tell students what society should look like. Rather, we give them the opportunity to work with societal issues at school, to create a society or to shape a society according to that image, and in doing so, forming their own image of a sustainable society. But here's the interesting part. Art is a powerful approach in doing this kind of education. So we're going to try something again. So take your card again, take the SDG again. And I want you to think about it. So it's a goal, but what is the underlying problem here? So think about the problem. And also, do I see this problem in my community? Right? Take a short moment to think about it. Now, I'd like you to all stand up, please. Right? We're going to use our body. So, use your body, make a movement, a sound, or a pose that represents the problem you just thought about. Don't think too long about it, just do the first movement that comes into your mind. Okay? Are you ready? On the count of 3, we're going to do it. 1, 2, 3. Make the pose or a sound. Nice, I see a lot. Thank you, thank you. Okay, now we're going to do a different pose or sound or movement, whatever you want, showing a solution for the problem. So change your pose, but showing a solution. Are you ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. So a solution. Right, nice. I like that one. Right, thank you. You can take a seat again. Thank you. Beautiful. You might think you were just doing like a stupid pose or something, but from where I stand, I don't just see one pose or one movement or one sound. I can already see a performance, a play, one piece, connecting all your body movements. And that is the power of art, again, because art is a universal messenger. It captures societal issues and transcends words, language, and location. And in an age where a lot of the things we see and learn is digital, art plays a crucial role. It can teach us something visually without having to read or write anything. You probably know the saying that an image is worth more than 1,000 words. Art portrays what is happening. A visual image, a play, a piece, it can help people understand what really happens in the world. And therefore, it makes societal complex issues tangible and personal. And it can transcend borders and spread things globally. So let's use art as a catalyst for social change. It does not dictate what to think or what should be, but it invites imagination, and with it, reflection. And as young students and artists, you have something the world desperately needs. It is imagination, the ability to go beyond what already exists and to create something new. And that is why education for sustainable development matters to you. It's about learning to make conscious choices, not just as individuals, but as creators. And it's about learning to use your art, your theater, your vision, and your voice to shift perspectives, to spark dialogue, and to move people to action. So I have a challenge for you. How will you use your art to make a difference? Because the world needs artists, not just to reflect on what already is, but to imagine what is possible. So let's create a world that is not just imagined, but is also sustainable. It was an honor and privilege to stand here before you today. I'd like to extend my gratitude to PETA, and I am so grateful to see so many of you, teachers, students, artists, global citizens, gathered here today, not just to celebrate art and theater, but also to explore its power in creating a more just and sustainable world. And let's do that together, hand in hand, because that is what Djapo is. Thank you. Maraming salamat.